3,778 brand new London apartments are sitting completely empty right now. Built, finished, furnished in some cases, lights off, nobody buying. That is the second highest unsold stockpile London has ever recorded, and it is happening in the middle of a so-called housing shortage. Developers are now offering £25,000 cash back, free stamp duty, and rate reducer mortgage subsidies just to shift one unit. Rate reducer subsidies on brand new flats in London in 2026. That's not a soft market, that's a fire sale dressed up as a launch event. In the next 18 to 22 minutes, I'm going to walk you through the 10 hidden numbers and red flags that are quietly killing London's new-build apartment market. By the end, you will understand exactly why these glass towers are sitting dark, who they were really built for, why buyers are walking away in droves, the full scale of the hidden pipeline, the balance sheet tricks, and why this collapse is going to get a lot worse before it ends. If you own a flat already or are thinking about buying one, this video is essential. I've been tracking the UK property market for years, speaking to brokers, solicitors, and insiders off the record, and they are all saying the same thing. The warnings are over. The damage is landing.
Let me give you the full scale of what is happening before we get into the specific red flags and hidden numbers. In 2025, just 5,547 new homes were started in the entire City of London. The government's target is 88,000 a year. That is 94% below target, the steepest single-year drop in any major developed world capital this century. Bloomberg, the Financial Times, and Molior London, three completely different sources, all confirmed it. In some quarters of last year, fewer than 2,200 private homes broke ground in the entire capital. To put that in perspective, the city of Manchester started more homes than London in the same period, and Manchester has roughly 1/10 the population. I've been tracking the UK property market for years, and this is not a normal slowdown. This is what happens when an entire product category quietly fails. The shiny tower model, 40 stories of compact apartments with a concierge and a gym in the basement, is being walked away from by the very developers who built the market. Berkeley Group, Barratt, Taylor Wimpey, Ballymore, they are all pivoting. And when the people who got rich selling you the dream are the ones quietly leaving the room, you should be paying attention.
Here is what they are not telling buyers. And here is why nobody is buying these new flats in 2026 despite all the incentives on offer. Red flag number 1, the price detachment. According to land registry data, new build apartment prices in London are currently 7.8% higher than they were 3 years ago. In the same window, the rest of the London property market moved 0.3%. That gap is not a premium for newness. That gap is a desperate attempt by developers to recoup the construction cost inflation of the past few years. They need to charge those prices to break even. Buyers don't care about a developer's break-even number, buyers care about value, and the value is gone. Think about what that means for someone who bought at the peak. Their equity is eroding while the developer tries to hold the line. Red flag number 2, the stamp duty bribe. When a developer is healthy, they don't pay your stamp duty. In 2026, almost every major London new build is offering stamp duty paid deals worth up to £25,000 per buyer. They are also offering rate reducer schemes where the developer subsidises the difference between the market mortgage rate and a lower rate, often for the first 2 or 3 years. Cashback offers, free legal fees, free furniture packages. If you have to give that much away to shift a product, the asking price is fictional. The real price is £25,000 lower than what's on the brochure, and that is before any private negotiation. This is not marketing, this is damage control. Red flag number 3, the two-speed market that proves it's broken. Houses in London are flat or rising slightly, flats are falling. Terraced houses ticked up over the last 12 months. Semi-detached homes rose. Flats fell almost a full percentage point nationally and significantly more inside the M25. That is the cleanest signal you can possibly get that the problem is not the market, the problem is the apartment specifically. Buyers who can choose are choosing not to choose flats, and the buyers who can't choose are renting instead. This gap is widening month by month.
Red flag number 4, the unsold stockpile is concentrated where the money was supposed to be. You'd assume the unsold towers are in cheap or unloved boroughs. Wrong. The 5 worst affected boroughs for unsold new build stock are Tower Hamlets with 556 empty units, Wandsworth with 455, Westminster with 315, Barnet with 294, and Hammersmith and Fulham with 274. Those are not low-value postcodes. Those are the boroughs where the model was supposed to work best, the investor districts, the Canary Wharf overflow, the Battersea growth corridor. That's where the lights are off. Walk past them at night. The darkness is telling you everything. Red flag number 5, the sales velocity has collapsed. There is a metric in the new build industry called the sell-through ratio. Normally, in total annual sales in London exceed unsold stock by a factor of 5 to 15. In a healthy year, by a factor of 15. In 2025, that ratio fell to 1.1. Sales were just 10% ahead of unsold stock. That has never happened in the history of the dataset. When the people who track this for a living have to invent new chart axes to fit the numbers, you are no longer looking at a slowdown, you are looking at a buyer strike.
Red flag number 6, the investor has left the building. The original London new build model was built for one customer, foreign investor, off-plan, cash buyer. Snap up 6 units in Battersea, never visit them, hold for capital growth, sell on completion. That model is dead. Higher mortgage rates killed leveraged investor returns. The tighter foreign ownership rules killed the easy capital flows. Geopolitical risk pushed Asian and Middle Eastern money toward Dubai, Lisbon, and Miami instead. The non-resident buyer share of London new builds has fallen from over 40% at the peak to under 15% today. The customer the building was designed for simply isn't shopping anymore. Red flag number 7, build to rent is eating the supply. Watch this carefully because almost nobody talks about it. When developers can't sell apartments individually, they sell entire blocks at a discount to corporate landlords, Legal & General, M&G, Greystar, Apache. These institutional buyers take 200, 300, 500 units in one transaction at asking price, then put them on the rental market. And those flats never reach an individual buyer. They never appear on Rightmove with a for sale tag. They just quietly become rentals owned by a pension fund. So when you walk past a glass tower in Wembley or Stratford and wonder why nobody's buying, the answer might be that nobody can because the developer already sold the whole building wholesale. Red flag number 8, the service charge time bomb the developer doesn't disclose. When you buy an off-plan flat, the service charge is presented as an estimate, £2,000 a year, maybe £2,500, sounds manageable. What buyers in 2026 now know is that those estimates are routinely 30 to 50% below the real number once the building is occupied. One major Battersea development saw service charges climb 58% in 7 years. Embassy Gardens leaseholders are now paying over £6,500 a year. Some Ballymore residents reported jumps. Buyers in 2026 read those stories, they run the maths, and they walk away.
Red flag number 9, the building safety levy lands in October 2026. This one almost no buyer is aware of yet. From the 1st of October this year, developers building any residential project of more than 10 dwellings have to pay a brand new building safety levy at the building control stage. The rate is set per local authority, and London is expected to be among the most expensive. That cost flows straight onto the asking price of every new flat sold from that date forward. So if you think 2026 prices are detached from reality now, wait until you see what they look like in November. Developers are quietly trying to push completions through before the levy hits, which is why you're seeing unusual incentive offers right now. They're racing the deadline. Red flag number 10, the build quality scandal that won't go away. Snagging lists on London new build apartments now average over 150 defects per unit. Thin walls, cracked tiles, misaligned windows, inadequate ventilation causing damp inside the first year. Buyers in 2026 have seen the TikTok videos. They've watched the moisture seeping through the plasterboard. They've heard the stories of people whose new build luxury apartment had to be evacuated for 18 months because of a defective sprinkler system. The new Homes Quality Code came in to try and fix this. It was supposed to give buyers stronger legal protections against defects. In practice, it has done very little because the same developers who built the problem are the ones the code asks you to complain to. The building safety regulator now has 170 live new build cases on its desk, covering over 37,000 units in various stages of dispute or remediation. Think about that. 37,000 31,000 flats currently flagged at the safety regulator. That is roughly the entire annual housing target for the city, stuck in a regulatory holding pen. The brand new flat with the rooftop terrace has lost its mystique. People now associate new build with expensive problem, and once that association forms in the mind of the buying public, no marketing budget on earth can shift it. That's the 10. Now, here's what nobody connects. Here's the part the property pages won't print. 1 in 6 London construction sites is currently mothballed. Not under construction, not waiting, mothballed. Hoarding up, no workers, no activity. Some of these sites have been frozen for over years because the contractors who started them went bust. Others are deliberately paused because the developer can't sell the units forward and refuses to keep building units they'll have to fire sale on completion.
That mothballing creates a hidden second crisis, because while the unsold finished stock is the visible problem, there are roughly 20,000 part-finished London apartments sitting in this frozen middle state right now, half-built, unsellable, unbuildable until something changes. They don't show up in the unsold stock figures because they were never completed in the first place, so the real overhang of failed London apartment supply is far bigger than the 3,678 finished empties. Add the mothballed pipeline and the actual scale of the problem is closer to 25,000 ghost units. Now here is the manipulation. Developers do not write down those mothballed assets at their real value. They sit on the books at the original cost, which means the balance sheets of UK house builders are quietly carrying billions in inflated land valuations that are years out of date. The same Persimmon write-down story that broke last year, multiply it by every major developer with London exposure. That reckoning has not arrived yet. It will. Half of London is now classed as financially unviable to build on at current cost levels. Half. That is a Knight Frank assessment, not mine. The developers are not building because the maths does not work. They are not selling because the buyers know the maths does not work. And the city is not getting new homes because the entire model has stopped functioning. Here's how this ends. By the end of 2026, expect more developer insolvencies. The smaller and mid-sized house builders with London concentration are the most exposed. When they fall, their part-built sites become the next round of mothballed ghost towers. Major UK lenders are quietly stress-testing their development loan books on the assumption that London new build values fall another 10 to 15% before stabilising. That stress test is the answer. By 2027, the supply gap turns into a supply crisis. Mothballed London is forecasting just 14,053 completions across 2027 and 2028 combined. That is a 92% shortfall against the official target of 88,000 a year. The very thing the city was supposed to fix, the housing shortage, is about to get dramatically worse. Not because nobody wants flats, because nobody can profitably build the kind of flats London actually needs. By 2028, expect government intervention, some form of public buyer of last resort, emergency planning reform, a levy holiday, maybe a new Help to Buy scheme aimed at unsold stock. None of it will fix the underlying problem, which is that the new build apartment as a financial product has lost its meaning. It was sold to investors who left. It was built for residents who can't afford it. It exists in a regulatory and safety limbo that nobody wants to inherit, and the price asked for it bears no relationship to what anybody is willing to pay.
The skyline you see when you walk through Nine Elms or Canary Wharf or Wembley Park looks like prosperity. Glass, concrete, cranes in the distance. It looks like a city building its future. It isn't. It's a city showing you the wreckage of a bet that didn't pay off, a bet that London's housing problem could be solved by treating apartments as financial assets instead of homes, a bet that prices would always rise, a bet that the foreign investor money would never stop flowing, a bet that buyers would never actually do the maths on a £5,000 a year service charge. Every part of that bet has now gone wrong at the same time, and the lights staying off in those buildings are the proof. Nobody's buying London's shiny new apartments because the people who designed them stopped building for buyers a long time ago. They built for an investor class that no longer exists, and now the city is left holding the bag. The next time you pass one of those towers and notice the dark windows, remember that is not luxury. That is a market that ran out of believers, and the fall has only just started. If you already own a flat, read every single letter that comes through your door, challenge every charge, join your residents association, talk to other owners. You are stronger together.
If you are considering buying, do the maths twice, 3 times, and then walk away if it doesn't add up. The trap is real. Protect your biggest asset. Take care of your home and take care of the paperwork that protects it. Subscribe for more insider intelligence. The next video will cover the 5 documents every homeowner must file immediately.